testimony that takes place. The Democrats that have come in here sort of say truly partisan. The guy showed what his true colors were.
I think they showed what they were all about. So if I were him, I don't know, what do you do when you're accused of being a gang rapist and drugging women? How are you supposed to present yourself? What do you do when the committee basically has information and they never tell you about it? All the meetings with the senators had this letter, they never once asked him, hey, I've got this accusation, could you tell me about it? So I've got zero concern about my Democratic colleagues' feelings toward his disposition. What I do have a problem with the way this hearing was conducted. If I had done this, if this had been a Democratic male nominee, and some lady from South Carolina came up to me and said in high school I had a bad experience, but I don't want you to tell anybody about it, and somebody in my staff leaked it to the paper, you would be killing me right now. If a lawyer for the woman from South Carolina, a conservative lawyer, never told her, by the way, the Democrats would come to South Carolina so you don't have to go to Washington to testify, they would be all over us. If I had said to the Democratic male nominee, because you have a different political philosophy, judicial philosophy, you're not entitled to the presumption of innocence, they'd eat me alive. If this had been the shoe on the other foot, the entire press coverage of this would have been different.
So Lindsey Graham's argument is, Democrats' assumption that they could have been much better when this type of similar events happened, and Republicans truly manifested their own true colors because they were really low, pathetic figures. That's how they behaved, and eventually they were bare naked, brazen impudence got revealed throughout this procedure. Then he actually said that, a Democrats would have acted exactly the same way. There is no modicum of a doubt. Think about it. He actually, kind of created a hypothetical scenario. If there were to be a Democratic male nominee who's been actually accused of a gang rapist and who had a history of, drugging women to rape them, then what would you actually do? And there were to be a certain women who actually, grew up in South Carolina and who had a terrible history when she was in high school. So she eventually sent a letter to Lindsey Graham in this subjunctive scenario, just like he's being, a Democratic contestant, Dianne Feinstein, counterpart, to imagine this. Then, if he had done this type of trial, if he were to never be that much honest about sharing all this information gathered from the Dr. Christine Blasey Ford, but different version of Dr. Christine Blasey Ford from South Carolina, if he had handled the situation exactly the way Senator Dianne Feinstein had it done in reality, then there would be almost a series of backlash. You guys really want me to be killed, or you guys are gonna killing me. If I had ever done that, if I ever actually tried to hide or minimize any type of damage that might actually undermine the credibility of a witness, or even actually the proper investigation, or even if I actually refused to come out to share everything by being a very honest and open person, because, at the very beginning there had been serious accusation that eventually blamed Dianne Feinstein for not actually being truthful about many of issues. In the first place, there had been a lengthy delay since she first received mail from Dr. Ford. And many people questioned why it took so long before Senator Feinstein to open up everything about it. Why there had been a certain mix of signals in terms of publicly sharing this news surrounding her testimonies and her life experiences. Because there had been a certain type of numerous setbacks. She really in the first place, wanted to be, tested for polygraph, and there had been challenges coming from the office of Dianne Feinstein, and there are certain challenges. If Senator Lindsey Graham would have acted that way, he could have faced such a repercussion. He could actually, truly have lost his political credibility in this game. But the problem is that both sides are equal. If Democrats would have faced the exact situation, then they would have done in an exact way that I had performed this scene. That's really the argument of Lindsey Graham. If Shu, that means, if the tables are being turned, if Shu is on the other side, that means if you're in someone else's shoes, you would have acted in a different way. Don't try to actually blame us that we acted so pathetically. Just simply we're too preoccupied with defending the Donald Trump's pick to have another addition from the conservative to the Supreme Court. Because you know what? If I had ever actually conducted the actual development of Dr. Ford's accusation in a way that had to truly be done by Senator Feinstein or the rest of staff members working in her office, then I would have faced serious accusations too. Both the sides actually had a very much deep disbelief in each other and distrust in each other's behavior and conduct of business. That's the truth. So don't try to actually blame us, because you could have done the same thing. If you are Republicans, for instance, if you're the ruling party who's been actually just waiting for another president's pick to be confirmed and vetted and confirmed, then you would have done the same thing. I don't actually think that Democrats' blame for Republicans being so pathetically low would not be fair enough. I think, Democrats, if they were a ruling party, they would have done the same thing. That's very likely to be imaginable. Because when tables are turned, everyone would act in the same way. It's really hypothetical. And if I truly had handled the early testimonies are coming from the actual alleged victim of a sexual assault, like Dr. Ford. Imagine there was a young girl, not really young girl. Imagine there is a young woman who actually, spent her high school days in South Carolina, who actually, later came out to claim that she had a horrible high school experience. She survived a near sexual rape. And there was a gang rape in her community of boarding schools. Think about that kind of a scenario. Then this senator from the opposite party handled the situation. Technically, this is ruling party, but from the perspective of a Democrat, this is the opposite party. The political rival party handled the situation in a way Senator Dianne Feinstein had done. Then this would actually eventually be the target of hefty criticisms, for sure. There's no doubt about it. Both sides are equally wrong to blame each other blindly, because they would have actually done exactly the same when they were given that opportunity or when they were on that side. That's really the argument.